All right, good evening, everybody, from the Lukethevaccumsaver studios. This is Lukethevaccumsaver. How are we tonight, everybody? I'm so happy to have you here. This is your first video with me. My name is Luke, and I save vacuum cleaners. Friends, family, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you very well would. I'm close to 100 subscribers now, and I greatly appreciate it. And the vacuums do too. So yeah, we are going to have a great video with these ones. So I'm going to call this the commercial edition of Vacuum Saved. One of these is staying with me forever. Um, you know what? I may just keep them both, as depending on how good they run. So they run really good right now. So if I decide I'm going to keep them both, we'll see. But one of these is definitely staying with me for sure. So not just a few minutes ago, I recorded a Dirt Devil Power Light and a Shark Navigator. So those videos are going to be out shortly. So you might want to go check that one out. It's a hot one, ladies and gentlemen. It may be quite long, but it speaks for itself. If this is your first video here with me, my name is Luke, and we say vacuums for God's people in need. We are servants of the Lord after all. Not only am I a volunteer firefighter, but I also do this. So I'm very, very, very happy to have you with me today. And let's go ahead and give you a rundown of what we got. So on our left-hand side today, we're going to switch things up a bit from the last video. So on our left-hand side, we have a Hoover convertible in this beautiful, I don't know how you would describe this green color, like light forest green. I really, really like this color, and boy, it just shows how long Hoover has been mastering their art of cleaning. And speaking of Hoovers, I have two of them. A Hoover Steam Vac and a Hoover Floor Mate. So, it just goes to show you that Hoover's not playing around. So, yeah, they've been mastering this right for years. But so has the opponent on your left-hand side here. This is a Eureka the Boss ESP with a 4 amp motor, with an edge cleaner, with a working height adjustment. And this is your Hoover convertible. So I'm very excited to show these to you guys. So what do you say we go ahead and have a wonderful video? Both of these have been turned on, and they run very, very nicely. So I'm very excited to be showing these off to you. So welcome to the channel, new viewers, all viewers alike. We are one family. Let's get this started. So let's go ahead and start story time real quick before we do our first story time. If you're brand new to this channel, the video is broken down into 4 categories. We are going to do an intro, which you just saw there. We will typically then do a story time, which I'll bring the vacuum to right about here, and then I'll describe a little bit of what happened to it and how I got it back to what it is today. And then, yeah, I'm very, very, very excited to get to show these off to you. And then and speaking of showing off, I actually do a full-blown test run on this carpet here, where I'll turn each vacuum on and we'll see how it does as a family. And then I'll wrap these vacuums up and I'll give a conclusion link, which is final thoughts on what I think about the vacuum. So these are hidden gems that are definitely going to be staying with me for quite some time. Vacuums are mistreated enough, especially the newer ones. Ladies and gentlemen, boy, this one's going to be a rough story. I gotta warn you, that's the next video. So, brace yourselves. Yeah, that was a very hard emotional fix for all involved. So, thank you for trying to help vacuums stay alive for as long as they can. And yeah, I just brought these two back to life, and I'm very excited to be showing you these ones. So let's go ahead and get started with story time. And we are going to go ahead and do that with the Hoover convertible. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is Luke the Vacuum Saver with Storytime Part 1 of the commercial edition of Vacuum Saved. Actually, let's rename that. Let's name this the Retro Edition of Vacuum Saved. The Retro Edition of Vacuum Saved. Done deal. So, here we go. This is Part 1 story time of the Retro Edition of Vacuum Saved. This is a 1964 Hoover convertible. Now, I love this vacuum. I had a blue Hoover convertible that was donated to somebody in need for free. And I was really looking for another one for myself. And I finally found it right here, just like Steven Sanchez's song, I Found You. Well, I certainly found you too. So, I'm and especially that Bissell right there. Woohoo! She's been getting a lot of talk. So, what do you say we just go ahead and film her in the next video here? I agree. So, I'm down for that. Anywho, this is my 1964 Hoover convertible, and my mom is going to absolutely love this vacuum when she sees it. Mom, I love you. You mean a lot to me. This is your shout out on my video. So, yes, if you're watching this video, you just got a shout out. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy to have you as my mom, and I know you're going to love this color. And the reason I'm saying that, ladies and gentlemen, is because she had a vehicle this color in her earlier days. This really's got some sentimental value to me, that it's a color she likes, and then of course I got a color I like, so maybe I just might give this one to her if she wants it. It's just like a collector's item and stuff, like for the same color that she likes. So yeah, but that one I'm crushing over. I love that color right there, that Eureka, that salmon pink. Whoo! I like that. So here is this, ladies and gentlemen. It runs very, very, very nice. And one thing you're going to notice versus the Eureka is Hoover found a way that I have never seen bags be secured on a vacuum before. And so did Dirt Devil right there. But let's focus on the Hoover for right now before I keep getting sidetracked with all these wonderful machines that I've saved for the Lord's community. So, yeah, feeling real great about it. I love what I do, and I'm sure you guys love my content that I provide on the channel as well. So, yeah, this is a Hoover convertible, and notice, ladies and gentlemen, okay, I'll just show you real quick. So, what happens is, take a look at this. This is what sanitaires typically use on this F&G style bags, and you notice that it's a zipper. That is prone to breaking. Hoover figured it out here, okay? So, here's what happened with the Hoover. I had, one's actually sitting out there right now, in my other garage that is also usable. And I'm not going to sell that one either. So, but this one is ready to go. So, I have two Hoover convertibles in my possession. My mom has one already from me for the pole building, and then now I have a little treat for myself for the garage here. So, this is my Hoover convertible, and notice what Hoover did here with this vacuum versus the Eureka ESP. So what happened here, ladies and gentlemen, is they figured out, all right, the bags break so much. Have you ever seen like a pair of jeans or like a button-up jacket? They were like, let's figure this out and do this right. So what they did, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just take this little piece off for you right here. If I just hold that open with my hands, excuse me there, I burped. And then, so yeah, what happens is here, ladies and gentlemen, if I turn the camera this way, stand by. There it is. If I turn the camera this way, you see that it is a button style bag. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased to have this one with me. It's quite different compared to what you're used to seeing. And I just secured it there. It has 4 of them. And what I noticed that I'm not quite a fan of is how small the bag area is compared to the Eureka ESP. But if you're in a little trailer home or an apartment or something, and you are a vacuum collector and you just have a little space to clean, then this is your guy right here. But if you have like a bigger space, like a social hall or something, and need a lot more capacity, the vacuum I'm crushing on over is the vacuum to be used. So yes, I love this one, and I'm just so proud of myself and being able to fix these older machines, as they are quite difficult sometimes with almost all metal where it counts. But here's one thing that I noticed happened, and this is quite common, is the handle right here, especially on the newer convertibles, like the one that's in my other garage, is plastic. And so Hoover did it right here and figured out metal is the way to go. And I think Sanitaires are copycats from Hoover because they have that same feature now. So yeah, they Hoover definitely takes the cake for figuring out how to make that bag secure inside the vacuum compared to a zipper. So that means this way, this one is less prone to breaking versus the Eureka ESP. But I can show you in another video sometime on how to change out that zipper should something happen to it. I figured out that a paperclip works just fine if you have the zipper part still available on the vacuum. So yeah, this is my Hoover convertible, and it is ready to go for you guys. And I picked this up at Habitat for Humanity. That Bissell right there, oh my god, that thing is so beautiful now. I can't get over it. That I picked up from Habitat for Humanity. If one of you guys are watching my videos, you guys are gonna scream for how nice that is now. And then this one was also picked up from Habitat for Humanity, the salmon pink Eureka. So I'm very excited, and that Dirt Devil right there has quite a different mechanism. I explained how their bag in Sanitaire is very similar, well, sort of. And then, so that is the Hoover convertibles story, and I think it's a good one, and I think I'm actually going to keep this for a while. So that is the Hoover convertible, but you are ready for the main floor. So let's go ahead and show you off. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Storytime Part 2 of the retro edition of Vacuum Saved. This is my Eureka ESP Sanitaire, and this is absolutely beautiful. And this is what I was talking about with the Dirt Devil Power Light there. And they have this zipper bag, most Sanitaires and stuff. But if you have the SC679K, your vacuum will come with something very similar to this right here. And it's just a shakeout bag. So it's very more simple to use, but I would much rather prefer any day a actual bag for the vacuum, as dust can get everywhere with a shakeout bag. The bag is like a disposable wrapper of some sort. You just throw it away and it's done, and then no dust. Amen. So yeah, this is definitely a really nice vacuum here, and I love it so much because it's a Eureka, and I haven't had a Eureka for quite some time, and I'm very happy to have this here. This one is staying with me forever. It's a 4 amp motor. Now the reason that this is staying with me is because it just has sentimental value to me. Actually, because I've donated to a person in need a golden black one that was in perfect optimal condition and had a 7 amp motor. This one has a 4. The Eureka the Boss ESP, the black one that looked like the Sanitaire S679 series, that one had a really nice waffle fry from Chick-fil-A design going across the bottom here, and then the switch was right here, which is where it is on this one. But the black and gold one, the Eureka CF2094, the power switch is not that small. It's Covers about the whole length right here. And then your handle release is right here. Power button's here. So it's very, very, very nice for a vacuum this age. And it has a metal base plate as well, which I really, really, really do enjoy. That Eureka the Boss 5.5 amp motor. I've had that before too on my channel. Yeah, I missed that one. I gave it to somebody for free. And they actually called me and said, I need a vacuum like right now. What do you got? And then I just gave that one to them for absolutely nothing because I care for God's people. And it was a friend that was in dire needs of a vacuum. So I gave him the best one I had, which at the time was that Eureka. Sometimes I kick myself in the foot for doing that, but God knew that when the time was right, the right vacuum would come to me, and I think I'm looking at it right here. This is an absolute beaut, and I'm so, so, so happy to have her here with me finally. So, yeah. We are going to have a wonderful test run session here in just a moment, but take a moment to look at both of these again. I'll actually bring the Hoover convertible out here too for you guys, so you can see what an epic transformation each of these had. So, yes, and I'll admit that the Hoover convertible does need a little bit of body work, like maybe a repaint or a shine. If somebody knows how to do that, please let me know in the comment sections down below. I'm open to constructional criticism, and I would greatly appreciate it for advice on how to get the dirtier bottom clean on that one to look like this. So, yeah, these are the two vacuums, and moment of silence for what these vacuums had to go through to get back to where they are. I'll run down each one here. Thank you. And let's go ahead and give these two a run, and they'll show you what they're capable of. And I'm also very surprised to see what these guys are capable of. So what do you say we go ahead and test both of these? So we are going to test the Hoover convertible first on the left hand side of the rug, and then this right hand side right here will be covered by the Eureka. So Hoover, I love you. You've been a great vacuum brand to me forever. And so has Eureka for the Eureka vacuums that I've had over the years. I've always wanted an Airspeed by Eureka. I've had an Airspeed 1 Turbo, but I never had an Airspeed Gold or an Airspeed Pet yet. Those are my bucket list vacuums that would stay with me if I got one. So, wait, not if I got one. Positive manifestation when I get one. There we go. So, yeah, those are two vacuums that I still need to get. From Hoover, I've just about had it with all of their vacuums. I had them all, so I'm very, very happy to report that. But I have not had some of the newer models. I've had a few commercial ones from them before, and this just happens to be one of them. Hoover was established in 1903, and in 2003 they came out with these 12 amp Hoovers, like the Steam Vac, the Hoover Wind Tunnel, all those big names. And I actually have a wind tunnel sitting right there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and show the Hoover convertible some love. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this is on now, ladies and gentlemen. This is one thing that I do not like with this vacuum. Only the one thing is you can almost never tell when the vacuum is on or off. As soon as this video is over, I think I'm going to write on it, like on and off, to see which is which, so it doesn't spook me the next time. But positive manifestation, this thing will be off when I plug it in here. So, and then we can turn it on and find out together how good she's going to run. So, ready? Okay, let's hit the power button. Okay. Positive manifestation definitely does work, doesn't it? So there it is. Are you guys ready to see a wonderful vacuum in action? Good answer, because I am too. And the previous owner played this smart with a nice little tape invented cord hook. I like that. That's quite silly. I haven't seen that done before on a vacuum, but people are people nowadays. So, real quick before we get into this, this has 3 height adjustments on it, so we'll go ahead and set it to mode 2 right here for our rug. Or maybe not. So, here comes an on-off of it real quick. So, excuse me there. So, here comes an on-off. So, let's just hear what it sounds like in 3, 2, 1. Swap around in front here. And yes, I completely restored that myself. So, what do you say we go ahead and have a wonderful little test time with her? So here it comes. Wow, the hoover's making some nice carpet lines here. How about that for a wonderful test run there? So yeah, that's the hoover, and you can see it did some nice carpet lines there. Wait till you see what that's capable of. So, yeah, that was the hoover, and let's go ahead and test our eureka. Just give me one moment to wrap this up, folks, and we'll be on to the eureka. Alright, so let's wrap this guy up, and we'll go ahead and do the next one, which is the Eureka ESP. I'm very excited for that one. And if you're curious as to what ESP means, it is Extreme Suction Performance. Well, let's see how extreme suction performance that Eureka is. And yes, I do intend to replace the belt on both of these at some point or another. Excuse me there. So, let's go ahead and unwrap the Eureka and do his test. Alright. Looks like we're going to need the whole cord this time, as it is a much shorter cord versus the Hoover convertible. So let's see. Is Eureka better than Hoover, or is Hoover better than Eureka? Let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll bet you don't see this every day on YouTube. A salmon pink Eureka ESP Sanitaire. So who's ready for a wonderful test? All of us? Good answer. Because, here we go. We're just going to turn it on for a second, and I'm going to show you how it sounds in 3, 2, and 1. And yes, this does have a working headlight, surprisingly. So, let's go ahead and give this guy a test run. In 3, 2, and 1, it's your friend and mine, the Eureka ESP from Sanitaire. Got some nice application from the brush roll here. Look at that. Nice light flat vacuum. You don't see those every day. And so that is the Eureka ESP Sanitaire. As you guys can see, despite its age, it did pretty doggone good. So, yes, both of the belts will be replaced on these eventually. But I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with that Eureka's performance. So, yeah. It's going to do wonders when I put a new belt on her. So, but I'm very grateful to the great Lord above that I have found that vacuum. And I'm just going to make each of them better. So, just like the Dirt Devil Powerlight, that turned out great. And the other two vacuums coming in our last video here are also great. So, and we have not had a Bissell edition for a long time. Hint, hint, that's going to be the video's name. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? We are up to over 65 episodes already of Vacuum Saved. So, thanks for all you guys do for my channel here. And I greatly appreciate you guys. And please comment in the comment section this time, guys, because I'd really like to have some feedback on my machines. I greatly appreciate it. As I would do it for my other friends, I would appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. So final thoughts on these two. They're great vacuums. Despite their age. And I think that both of these figured out how to do it right in the time that these were produced. So reporting live from Lukethevaccumsaver Studios, we are signing off, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will catch you all in the next video.